Everyone, looks like it's 3 o'clock. I understand that Chuck Scalise is not going to be present today, is that correct? So I'll be running the show. Feel free to stop me at any time if you have any questions. So this is the regular scheduled meeting for December 9th, 2024 for the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody could please stand and recite after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Board members, you received the proposed agenda for today. I'd like to get your approval of that. Do I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
Second.
We have a first.
Oh, yes.
Okay, first and then, okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. The agenda is approved. Next item of business is the approval of the minutes from our November 11th, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining and disapprovals? Hearing none, so that motion also carries. Now I'm going to open up the floor for citizen comments. Do we have any citizens that wish to be heard today? You want to speak, Jackie?
Yeah.
Back.
Okay, how are you?
Sorry, I'm not on the agenda, but it was kind of impromptu. Hi, I'm Jackie Spry. I'm the planning director for the City of Erie. And I just wanted to come and introduce you to our fairly new hire, Cooper Moore. Cooper is the assistant planner for the City of Erie now. And I think, Cooper, you've been with us about 2 months? Yeah, 2 months. Cooper is... I'll let him tell you a little bit about his background, but in terms of the work that Cooper will be doing is he'll be working on, hopefully again, neighborhood plans for the city. He'll be sort of floating in between projects in terms of historic preservation, our Safe Streets and Roads for All project, really helping and assisting with a lot of different things we have going on and projects we have going on in the planning department. We also eventually will have Cooper possibly managing a few of our boards and maybe some projects. So I'll let Cooper just talk a little bit about maybe his background, just a few minutes, and if you have any questions. So thanks.
Thank you.
Jackie.
Yeah, thank you. So Jackie said I've been here about 2 months. I have a degree in architecture from Kent State. I minored in urban policy and planning, so I'm kind of new to working in planning, but I did study similar things. Right out of college, I was elected president of the American Institute of Architecture Students, and that took me to DC for 2 years, leading that organization as both like a staff member and chair of the board. And then when that term ended, I saw the opening here in the planning department and thought it sounded pretty nice to move back to Erie and help out in the community. So that's how I got back. And I've been back about 2 months.
Welcome home.
Thanks.
Just in time for the snow, right?
I know. I was wondering what I was thinking this time of year, but yeah, it's good to be back.
Well, glad to have you.
Thanks.
Any questions for the board? Hearing none. Okay. Any other citizen comments? Again, hearing none, we'll move on to finance report.
Hello, yes. In your packet, the first portion is the profit and loss. It is showing all the way on the last page a net revenue of $438,397.92. The next sheet is the balance sheet. So we are showing a little over $372,000 in our checking, and the ARPA checking has about 1.9 million in it. And our total assets were showing 10.5 million. The next page is the check detail. So that was a list of all of the checks that were dispersed for November. And to give you an idea of what our revenue was for the month of November, or our reimbursements, we had almost $100,000 from Erie County Department of Planning for the whole home repair program. We had $187,000 reimbursement from LHRD. We had a little over $55,000 from ARPA, and about $3,000 from HACE, which was a fee for service.
Any questions from the board? Okay. I see that we have the financial consultant Blackbaud update. Is that
Yes.
part of the finance report?
Yes, so just an update so that you're aware of what's been going on with that. We did have a meeting again with Baker Tilly and Zachary from Blackbaud. We are still set for a go live date in January. So right now we are still doing software testing in the portal that they had created for us, that they call it our sandbox to play in, so that we are going to be entering bills that we receive both in QuickBooks and in the Financial Edge environment until the go live date to get additional experience in that software. We did have a meeting also with Cuyahoga County about integrating the two systems together, the property management system that we have that they created for us and the financial software, but we have decided not to pursue that at this time as there are no tangible benefits compared to the cost of integrating the software. Blackbaud already has the ability for us to be able to separate costs of individual bills and properties by the parcel number. So as long as everything's associated with some sort of parcel number, then we can have all of the costs linked to that account. It just seemed like a lot more work that we would have to create a job, that would be somebody's job, just constantly inputting between the two systems. And they said it was going to be manual, and that's not quite what we were looking for. So,
Do we have a go live date?
yes. So technically it's January 8th, and that is just because Zachary is out of the country right now until that time. So, and it gets backdated to January 1st. So we
Okay.
just hold everything from the 1st to the 8th and don't input it until that point.
And then we'll still have access to QuickBooks for everything prior.
Yes, yeah, we'll probably still have access to QuickBooks for a few months after that.
Any questions from the board? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the financials pending audit?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, next item we have is the report of the executive director, and I think we're gonna jump to Attorney Sundberg, is that right? Okay.
All right.
Yep. Good afternoon, board. It's nice to see everybody here. Now that the snow's melting, we can all, here we go. You have a copy of my report. I'm gonna hit,
Yes.
I'm gonna hit some high points here. A lot of it is good news. Downing Street, we're doing the transaction to finalize all aspects of that. I know that there are internal actions that are being taken within the redevelopment authority. One of important note is 711 West 18th Street, Bobby Pogue. That's in, I'll say, the Little Italy area. We are working to see if we can resolve that. If not, we are prepared for a Board of View hearing this coming Thursday morning. So I'll keep you posted on that. You'll see there's a number of properties where they are working to continue to get them resolved. Carterino, for example. Gamo is a property where the guy was moving out, but his U-Haul is plowed in. So I spoke to him a couple of times. As long as there's communication with me and the property owner, I'm good. We're gonna work with him. So he's hoping to have it out certainly by the end of this month. But the fact that he has a U-Haul there and he's working to get it done is music to our ears. So we're gonna keep driving by and making sure that we're keeping his feet to the fire to do that. There are a number of, on the flip side, you'll see 7, 8. Those are, again, rehabilitation processes that are in process. I think that the 1408 West 8th Street, that's going to be done by year end. And I have some notes on the kind of the ancillary case there, just for you to note. That's going to be resolved as well. 2712 East Avenue, we have all the documentation. So into race, it's going to go ultimately to the land bank. The East 22nd Street is still ongoing. It never leaves my desk, so we're going to keep pushing that forward. The industrial lots, I'm in constant contact with the owners to see if we can't expedite that. What I asked my title searcher to do is to make sure that the description, so we've sat down a couple of times to go through with a fresh cup of coffee, to go through the description so that we can get the deeds done, so that when we get the stamp of approval from the owners, and there's a couple of different entities that we can effectuate that, and I'm pushing to get that done by year end with the thought those owners want to get those industrial lots off of their books by year end, and it would be great for us to have those properties on our books by year end, so that we're showing the progress that we're making with regard to those properties. 1429 Lynn Street, I was working on that this weekend, and I was probably sending emails to Aaron late on a Sunday night that he probably didn't even want to see. But that's a donation, I think, from an older woman. And I'm working with her to get the payoffs. There's 2 mortgages on it, but I think that, again, once we show these mortgage holders, these out-of-town mortgage holders, how bad the property is, that they're going to be more than happy to satisfy the mortgage and just walk away from any expense and liability with regard to that property. So I'm working with that woman to get all the contacts, because it's out of town. It's not like you can call Northwest or Marquette and get an answer that day. So it's out of town lenders. So she's getting me all of her statements so that I can kind of help her from there. And I told her that if we needed to get together at my office to make some phone calls together, that I'm more than happy to do that, and actually even suggested that. Again, we're looking at 426 East 10th Street along the same line. And I'm happy to tell you 1130 East 5th is all done, all relinquished. The gentleman did what he was supposed to do, and we've turned all right to interest back to him. So that is a really nice win for the Redevelopment Authority, and for him and the community as well. Those are the type of things we want to see.
And those rehab projects, that was all done with pursuant to the relinquishment agreements, and then they paid, all the legal fees and everything. Okay.
That's exactly right. So there's expenses incurred by us to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes is the pushback that we get from an individual or two about that. But hey, if you would have been taking care of this up to the up before we had to get involved, then we wouldn't have those expenses. So, but all of those, that's correct, are in accordance with the relinquishment agreement, the payments made, and the time frames made, and in fact, pulling permits, making sure that you have the proper people doing electrical, and all that type of work through the city of Erie.
Great.
So yeah, we're happy about that. Thank you.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Thanks, Gene.
With that, is it okay if I will, yes, yeah, I would.
That's on the record,
But
folks.
If I could be excused, that'd be great.
Yep, you're fine.
Happy holidays.
Yes, same to you. Thanks, Gene. All right, Aaron, general updates, information.
Yeah, EMTA RACP project is moving along. I feel that they did submit a accurate revision to the budget to that Office of Budget should be able to approve. So that project should be clear sailing. Hopefully we'll be able to get that completed in February and finally wrap up that RACP grant on that project. And then just for reference to the board, the judicial tax sale has been pushed back due to the courts being closed last week. So judicial tax sale that was supposed to be this week will be held next week. So Land Bank has optioned the properties that the board has requested, and then we'll get equitable ownership of those after that sale. So that's all I have for today.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? All right. Moving on to unfinished business, new business. We have the Redevelopment Authority 2025 operating budget. Is that anyone speaking on that, or?
Well, we can kind of walk through it.
Okay.
And talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know I sent it out to the board last week, and you had a chance to review it. So it kind of followed the same model, as we've done. And anyone, any of you who have been on the board for a little bit know kind of how this process has worked as if we become more familiar and working with April and cleaning up the financial system within the authority and becoming a little bit more accountable for what we do and making sure the operating budget reflects everything that is done within the authority. So it just kind of left the top part, a lot of the stuff from last year and then this year, just to show comparisons. The fund and grant balances, this year, right now, currently, we have just over $13 million in grant awards remaining of different funds and grants that have been awarded to the authority. It's down from last year. However, there was the $5 million loan to Erie County RDA for the Ironworks Square project. So that's probably the biggest offset to there. And then the $4.7 million of the new lead grant is on there as well. So, and looking at the numbers, we kind of put, the 2024 approved budget, the 2024 actual budget, and then our 2025 proposed. And keep in mind, looking at that 2024 actual, that's hypothetical with a variable to figure that out through December 31st. Of this year, just to make sure we're as comparable. So some of the numbers are a little off, and we can certainly come back and show the board where we fell after we conclude this year, and can show the actual budget versus actual of where we are. So nothing really dramatic or cause for alarm. Most of our general purpose expenses and line items were pretty right on. Some things we anticipated a little higher than others. Certain, situations caused those to not, occur this year. I think a lot of it under the condemnation. We had planned for some more condemnations this year, but we kind of switched our focus to cleaning up a lot of the ones that Gene talked about, those legal issues that were holding us up in court for a while. So, I don't know. I think I'll, leave it up to the board. I think if there's any questions, 6206 other contracted services, we had budgeted $50,000 and we had spent $900,000. A big part of that is the $646,000 awarded in ARPA new production grants to the recipients, that we in March at the special board meeting approved. So that's the big offset there. And then the rest of that would be the fees associated with Baker Tilly's work on our finance processes. So, April, anything else you wanted to highlight?
Baker Tilly, Michael Bivden.
Oh, Michael Baker, the $60,000 for the East Bayfront Greenway. Okay. So overall, we're looking at an operating budget this year anticipated at $5.4 million, up a little bit from almost $1 million from last year, but we are going to go a little bit heavier on the rehab this year in hopes of expending some additional funds, which have time periods that are coming close to expiration. So we have a current state-led grant to finish up. We have the current LHRD grant to finish up, plus the ramp up of the new LHRD grant at the current time, and that's without any pending awards from any grants that we have submitted. So.
Any questions from the board?
I have a few.
Okay.
So first is, so the County Redevelopment Authority expressed that, they either are gonna have difficulty making their interest payment next year. What they've also expressed, willingness to, or a desire, I should say, to change the terms. What is kind of gonna be the plan B if they default on that interest payment because, the construction term isn't aligning with the term of the race loan?
Well, we would hope that they'd pay it, but the would be more just, switching toward trying to draw down additional revenue on administrative expenses associated with other grants, and take that as the offset to that $200,000.
Okay, thank you. And then next have to do with, I'd say in the grand scheme of things, relatively small line items. So the first is I noticed short-term disability was $66,000 natural this year, but only budgeting $7,500 next year. Just want to make sure that there's going to be sufficient dollars in that pool in the event it goes higher than expected again.
You see that one? I think it was supposed to be $66,013.27.
You said 6,000?
That's supposed to be 6,000.
Okay.
And we can make that revision.
Okay. And then the last item this has to do with the audit fee. So I like seeing a buffer, obviously, going up as it is better than down. Is that just in the event that, exploring auditors this year comes back higher than anticipated, make sure there's sufficient?
We have not necessarily identified anybody from the proposals that we received, but the prices are significantly higher than what we were used to paying. So based on just what the average of those were, we anticipated it's gonna be
Based
higher
on
no
the
matter.
average of what you received.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you. All the questions I have.
And then if I may, I wanted to point out, so we still have a discussion, or it's at least open for discussion with the Erie County Redevelopment Authority that I had sent back to both of them, Tina and what was the other?
These will now.
Leah?
Yes, that, offering what were they thinking more in line with that, we wouldn't be able to waive that first interest payment, but we would be open to considering other options that they might have or suggestions. And they said that they would think about it and get back, and I haven't heard anything yet. So I'm not sure what their plan is, but.
When's that payment due, by the way? I just don't recall.
I believe it's in April.
April. So we've got a little bit of time.
We still have time.
Yeah, because it's obviously not all or nothing too. So, there's things that we could work out and work
Right.
through with them, so. All right. Any other questions from the board? Now, we're not adopting anything here, so this is just more for informational purposes, correct?
The budget?
Or the
No, it's for the board.
Oh, this is for board approval? Okay.
Budget.
So we obviously, do we need to, I guess, confirm that was in fact an error on that 66,000? Or are we able just to approve it subject to that change? I just don't know what that throws off in terms of, I guess I didn't go through and do all those math.
Yeah, you could prove it subject to that change. I think the only thing it would throw off is the negative $57,000 in revenue, which would
Okay.
almost bring it into closer to,
Right.
being a balanced.
Okay.
So yeah, you could approve it with, pending, clarification that is just a typographical error.
Okay. So, what we'll do then is do I have a motion from the board to approve the proposed operating budget for 2025, subject to, I guess, confirmation, clarification of that change for, it looks like life and short-term disability insurance for and that's the actual payment. It's showing up on the budget for $66,013.27, and it should be $6,013.27. So do I have a motion to approve the operating budget with that clarification?
So moved.
And do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And then housing rehabilitation report. Hall?
I think I'm the last page of your packet, so I don't really have too much to report this month. Getting close, I'm closing out the current LHRD grant. I was hoping to have it all the way finished by the end of the year, but just with weather and contractors and that, I don't think it's going to quite happen, but we are very close. We have enough approved applications to see that through. Not a ton of new movement on our Healthy Homes because I'm still not approving any new projects. But I assume that we'll probably close that out entirely in probably the first half of 2025. That's really the only super high points. Probably the biggest movement we're going to see imminently is going to be on Act 137. We have some projects we were able to start proceeding forward with there. And of course, Whole Home is going to pick up as well going into the new year. That's really all I have to tell you about.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, okay. Well, thank you for your report. Any other business for the board? Anything? Speak now. No, nothing. All right. Well, that is it. I guess we went through the agenda. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.